Welcome! Today we're going to talk about the 6 kingdoms of life. I'm going to try to break it down piece by piece. The 6 kingdoms are bacteria, archaea, plant, Protista, fungi, and animalia. That's us. Notice they're broken up into 2 parts, prokaryotic and eukaryotic. Prokaryotic does not have the DNA inside of a nucleus, but eukaryotic stuff contains its DNA in a nucleus. Let's look a little closer. The first one. Kingdoms sometimes contain only unicellular organisms, like ones found in hot springs, cow stomachs, and all over the earth. These do not have a nucleus, so they're called prokaryotes. Prokaryotes are going to be organisms that do not have an organized nucleus. They have DNA and they have cytoplasm like every organism, but that pro means before, karyote means a nucleus. So you can remember it because pro rhymes with no for no nucleus. Bacteria get their energy from many sources. Some get their energy from the sun. Others get their energy from chemicals like CO2, while others break down organic material. This kingdom is divided into 2 groups, archaea and bacteria. Those are both prokaryotes. Archaea is found in extreme environments, like in the stomach of a cow, or in hot springs, the Dead Sea, or even swamps and marshes. They have a different type of cell wall than bacteria, and they are antibiotic resistant. Bacteria is also found almost everywhere. Bacteria is very important to life on Earth. Some cause disease, but most of them are very helpful. You have bacteria in your body right now. They break down food in your stomach. They're very important to the nitrogen cycle. You'll learn more about that in 7th grade. Sauerkraut is a natural food that people use, adding vinegar that has that bacteria. Bacteria can be classified by its different shapes. Most prokaryotes reproduce asexually, where the genes of an offspring are exactly like their parents. This process is called fission. Plants and animals reproduce asexually. In sexual reproduction, the offspring material comes from both parents. They're not exactly like either parents. Animals and most plants reproduce sexually. Plant cells have a more rectangular shape and they are eukaryotic, containing a nucleus. Organisms called eukaryotic do have organized cell structures and a nucleus. Eu meaning true, karyote meaning nucleus, so eukaryotic means true nucleus. You can remember it because eu rhymes with true or new. You're going to have a nucleus that has the DNA, and there's also going to be cytoplasm inside the cell. Organisms that make their own food are called autotrophic. Auto meaning self, and trophic meaning feeding. Therefore, autotrophic is self-feeding. Plants use the process of photosynthesis to feed themselves. They get glucose, which is sugar, from the soil and water, and they take in carbon dioxide and sunlight from the air, and they produce out oxygen. There are approximately 500,000 different types of plants, all using autotrophic for feeding. Next, let's talk about Kingdom Protista. Kingdom Protista is one of the 5 major kingdoms. And it's a eukaryotic cell, so you know it's going to have DNA inside a nucleus. Some are unicellular, but some are multicellular. Unicellular organisms are single-celled, one for uni. Multicellular organisms means that they are multi or many. They're sometimes asexual and sometimes sexual. Some are heterotrophs and some are autotrophs. Organisms that cannot make their own food are called heterotrophs. Hetero meaning other and troph meaning feeder. A heterotroph must feed on others. Like us, Protista needs to get its food. Most of the time. Sometimes they're autotrophic. Some are decomposers and others are parasites, but they are all eukaryotic with a nucleus. They are very animal-like. Protistas are. Amoebas are examples of protistas. Take a look at this guy. These little guys move around by moving little flagella. They're called gerardia. Cilia move with hair-like structure. Take a look at this video of an amoeba moving around with its cilia. Check out the cool moving. Little false foot over there. Slowly moving. Sometimes unicellular, sometimes multicellular. That one looks unicellular. That one definitely has some complex organelles, and they can be very plant-like. What makes them very plant-like is they can perform some photosynthesis. To have a protista do this means that it qualifies sometimes as an autotrophic. Kelp is something that will actually cling to the water and is a real plant. Check out the organism. It's got a flagella. There it is. Here are some that are diodes. A common example of protista that's a decomposer are slime molds and water molds. They're protista. I've seen that on a test. So there you have Kingdom Protista. Our next kingdom is going to be Kingdom Fungi. Let's move forward to that. Kingdom Fungi is made up of mushrooms, yeast, and lichen. That's what you're seeing there. Many fungi can be seen growing on rocks. Fungi are going to be eukaryotic because they contain a nucleus. They also are heterotrophic, which means they need to get their food from other organisms as they decompose them. Most fungi are going to be multicellular. As you can see, lots of complex cells in this fungi. Mold is a very common kind of fungi. You can find fungi on your food, you can find fungi on your bread, because those kind of molds are on there. Not slime mold. Slime mold was protista. Regular mold, mushrooms, these are all fungi. Lichen is also a kind of sac fungi. Now let's talk about the best kingdom, the animal kingdom, because it's the one that we belong in. Humans are a part of the animal kingdom. There are a lot of organisms you encounter daily. Fish, cats, humans, dogs, and many other types of things out there. There is a wide range of animals in this kingdom, but all animals have these common traits. They're eukaryotic, so they're going to have a nucleus. They're going to have their membrane-bound organelles, and cytoplasm. Of course, we're multicellular, lots of specialized cells to do all kinds of cool things. Like, we can't produce our own food, and we need cells that can help us consume those. We move around, we're very mobile. Not all sponges are mobile. There are sponges that do not move around. There are two classifying areas of these types of animals. You get the ones that don't move like sponges. Those are going to be called invertebrates. Things like us that have a spine are vertebrates. Invertebrates do not have a backbone. There are lots of type of sponges and squid and different animals that don't need to have, and a worm. Those aren't going to need to have a spine. They get around without it. Your squids, your starfish, your bugs, those are all not going to have a backbone. They're going to be invertebrates. Your vertebrates, on the other hand, have a backbone. There are strange fish that actually have a backbone, like a lamprey. Fish are going to have a backbone. They're vertebrates. Frogs have a backbone. Snakes have a backbone, and all these animals are heterotrophic. So look out! That snake could eat you, birds, even though you're vertebrates too. Humans can eat all kinds of things, and they have adaptations, like all animals, that will help them to survive. Thanks for watching. I know this was full of all kinds of information, but it's all useful stuff, and it's facts that you need to know. So rewatch this video as many times as you need to memorize what is a heterotroph, autotroph, unicellular, multicellular. Go through all those different things that you're going to need to know the definitions of.